I'm not sure it was. I'm not sure it was clearly pointed out. I was talking to a few people during the dancing. These psalms are called Hallel. They have that name, the Psalms of Praise. They have a special name because in our prayers on every holiday, we say these psalms. We add them into our liturgy every day. So in every synagogue this morning and tomorrow morning until the end of Sukkot, and then on Hanukkah, and then on Passover, whatever the holiday is, and on Israel's Independence Day, we recite these exact psalms. These are the Psalms of Praise. We're about to go into some lay-down worship. Here's a thought to lead us into that. One of the verses that was read just now from Psalm 115 is referred to the fearers of the Lord. O fearers of the Lord, trust in the Lord. He is their helper and their shield. And then later mentioning that God would bless the fearers of the Lord. Who exactly are these fearers of the Lord? Let me explain my question. Right before that, we mentioned Israel and the house of Aaron. We know who they are. It doesn't really identify for us who are the fearers of the Lord. Or what makes them different than, say, lovers of the Lord? Why didn't the verse say that? Why didn't the verse say, oh, lovers of the Lord, trust in the Lord? Or trusters in the Lord? Or believers in the Lord? What exactly, how do I get that title, fearer of the Lord? The phrase fearers of the Lord actually appears many times in Psalms. The fearers of the Lord are described as those who give special praise to the Lord. For instance, in Psalm 22, the fearers of the Lord praise him. They also receive special rewards and divine protection from the Lord. Like in Psalm 31, how abundant are the good things that you have stored up for those who fear you. Or behold, the eye of the Lord is upon those who fear him, Psalm 33. This phrase, this concept of the eye of the Lord being on those who fear the Lord appears about 6 times in Psalms. So we know the fearers of the Lord give special praise. We know that the fearers of the Lord receive special protection and blessing. But again, who are they? Well, among the many blessings that the fearers of the Lord receive, I'd like to point out two verses in Psalms that I find absolutely shocking. Psalm 25, verse 14, the secrets of the Lord. The secret of the Lord is for those who fear him. He makes his covenant known to them. Wow. Who doesn't want to know the secrets of the Lord? Who gets to know the secrets? It doesn't say the prophets, the fearers. What a blessing. They get to know the secret. And then in Psalm 145, this is even more shocking. He fulfills the desires of those who fear him. We're supposed to fulfill God's desires. And here it says, you know whose desires God fills? Those who fear him. Incredible. How do I become one of these? The fearers of the Lord. And it can't just mean everyone who believes in God, because then it wouldn't be a separate category. Who are the fearers of the Lord? God fulfills their desires. So what's a fearer of the Lord? Fortunate are all who fear the Lord, those who walk in his ways. Who is the man who fears the Lord? He will teach him the way he should choose. I just quoted from Psalm 128 and Psalm 25. Somehow being the one who walks in God's way. Well, I try to walk in God's way. You know, we're a religious person. Who are these fearers? Well, who was the first person called a fearer of the Lord? I'm not saying the first time anyone was afraid of God, but who was the first person who was actually told or described that is a fearer of the Lord? Anyone know? It's Abraham. Anyone know when? Not at the beginning of his life. Abraham lived a long time, went through many difficult times, and finally near the end of his life, when he is called upon to sacrifice his son. And the angel stops him and says, "Stop. Do not lay a hand on the boy. Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you are a fearer of the Lord." Notice he doesn't say, "Now I know that you fear the Lord." It's more than that. You are a fearer of the Lord. You have entered into this exclusive club. At the time, I think the population was 1. You are a fearer of the Lord. Now I know. Wait, until now in Abraham's incredible life, God did not know, or it had not been displayed. He was a lot of things. He was great. He loved God. He was devoted to God. But he was not yet a fearer of the Lord. Okay, my friends, now listen carefully. Why this? Why did this make Abraham a fearer? It was difficult, of course. Take your son, your beloved son, and sacrifice him. But I don't believe that that's why he got the title fearer of the Lord. I believe he got it for the following reason. Sacrificing Isaac wasn't only difficult emotionally because he loved his son Isaac, and who could sacrifice their son? Believe it or not, there was something even greater. Abraham had been promised by God that this son would have children who would become a great nation, and that through this son, and not the other guy, but through this son, a great nation, God's nation, would be formed. And this son had no children yet, was not married yet. And God tells him to kill him. Not only did God tell him to kill his son, but God told him something that made no sense. It contradicted the very covenantal promise that God had made to him. If I kill him, how can we have a great nation from him? It made no sense. Second, Abraham had devoted his life combating evil, wicked paganism in the world of Mesopotamia and Canaan. Child sacrifice was one of the most despicable and prevalent pagan practices. It was a world of dark, dark paganism. And Abraham preached and spread knowledge of a God of love, a God of life, a God who affirms life, and a God of kindness and ethics and morality and good. And here God is telling him to engage in child sacrifice. Everything he'd worked his whole life to fight against was being contradicted by this command. And the very covenant God made with him, as I just said, was being contradicted by this command. My friends, we all try to follow in God's ways. We do. But what happens if God commands us to do something that seems to be the exact opposite of everything that we think is right? What if God commands us to do something? What if the command of God actually makes no sense to us? That's another level. The surrender of my own will, the surrender of my own calculations and my own thoughts of how things will work out, and adhering to the will of God even when it seems to make no sense. That is full obedience to the Lord. Now I know that you're a fearer of God. The fearers of God are those who walk in those ways, meaning they walk in His ways. Because if I follow God when it makes sense to me, then I'm not really walking in His ways. His ways happen to coincide and agree with mine. When it's only His ways, because I don't understand, it is His will and not mine, that's when I can call myself a fearer of the Lord. The fearers of the Lord have a certain trust in God that is different than everyone else's. So they're singled out separately. The fearers of the Lord trust in the Lord, not along with everyone else. There's something else to look to there. That's a different level of fear, something we should all aspire to. We all want to be fearers of the Lord. We all want to be those who follow the ways of the Lord, even when it makes no sense. So we like Abraham, can be called fearers of the Lord. And that's why the fearers of the Lord get to know the secret of God. That's why God does their will. Because if you're willing to do God's will with no questions asked, then God does yours. The fearers of the Lord trust in the Lord. And later on in that same psalm, it says that when the fears of the Lord are blessed, the young and the old are blessed too. Because when everyone looks up to those fears of the Lord, when the fears of the Lord are successful, and when the fears of the Lord are a shining light to all of us, then the young, the old, we all look to them and we see what true obedience to God is. So the fearers of the Lord trust in the Lord. May we be counted among them.